Hey guys, my name is Melissa and this is your breakdown of Chaturangas, part of our Intro to Yoga Workshop Series Week 3. So I wanted to post this up on our YouTube channel so those of you that are in my Intro to Yoga Workshop Series can go over what we learned in Week 3. Also, if you were unable to attend Week 3, you can kind of go over this, practice at home, and then bring it to the studio and we can, help you in any way that you need help. So first of all, with anything that you do in yoga, you want to get yourself nice and warmed up. Props for this breakdown we're going to use is a block and a strap. So if you don't have these items at home, I would suggest investing in these. You can get them fairly cheap depending on where you go, and we also sell these things in the studio. So first things first, let's get ourselves warmed up. So coming down to your mat, we're going to start to sit back on our heels, not quite child's pose, keeping the knees about hip width, feet flat into the mat. You're just going to start to walk your hands out long in front of you, lifting the hips, and then drop the forehead for melting heart pose. So you're still going to spread those fingers wide, pressing through the palms like you would in child's pose. Optional here to bring the chin to the mat or the forehead down. But you still have those hips lifted rather than sitting down on the heels. You're keeping the hips lifted nice and high. So just hold for a few rounds of breath. In through the nose and out through the nose. Finding that Ujjayi breath. Take one more breath in. Exhale, pull yourself up into tabletop. So coming to hands and knees as you stack the shoulders over the wrists, keeping those hips and knees in one line. Still keeping those fingers spread nice and wide, nice neutral spine as you gaze forward. You're going to start to drop the belly and gaze up for cow pose. Inhale. Exhale, round it out for cat. Tuck the chin to the chest, arch the spine. Again, inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. We're going to go one more round here, so listening to the breath. Exhale it out. Coming back into that neutral spine, start to curl your toes under, start to sit back on those heels for your broken toe pose. Coming into broken toe pose, you want to make sure all of those toes are curled under. You're going to sit back on those heels, opening up the feet. You can option to take your block here in front of you to relieve some of the pressure. You always have the option to sit on the block to relieve some of the pressure off the feet, but you really want to get a nice stretch in your feet here. And then as you're here in broken toe, we're going to do a little bit of wrist therapy. So making those fingertips to face towards the knees, gently press through those wrists, sitting back in those heels. So anytime you're doing yoga, you're putting a lot of pressure on the wrists. So you just want to give them a nice stretch here. Also, wrist stretching is good for you if you work on a computer all day or if you have carpal tunnel. Stretching these wrists, doing these little wrist stretches once a day can really help. And then go ahead and flip the palms up. Fingertips still towards the knees. You can do one hand at a time, or if you want to do both, just pushing back as much as comfortable. You don't want to feel any pain in the wrist. You just want to feel this intense opening. Breathing through it. And then getting those wrists in towards each other, gently start to rock side to side, opening up a little bit more here, getting in all those deep nerves of the wrists, those little tiny bones and muscles in the hands and the wrists, forearms. And then coming to sit back on those heels, just shake out the wrists a little bit. If you want to press the fingers towards the arms. And then coming back to your tabletop, go ahead, start to kick out the feet, get the blood flowing back to those toes. Coming back to that neutral spine and tabletop. So again, we're going to start to come back to our melting heart pose. So walk the hands out long, drop the forehead. Find your breath. And then coming back into tabletop. Sit back on those heels. Shaking out the wrists. One more time. Come back to tabletop. Melting heart pose. Drop the forehead down. Really stretch those arms, opening up the shoulder blades. Exhale, tabletop. Curl toes under, sit back on those heels, shake out the wrists. So after you've done that about 3 times, you can move on to your next stretch. So from here, we're going to come into plank, but on our knees. So start to walk your knees back a little bit further than you would into tabletop. You can keep the feet lifted, or you can drop them down, whatever's comfortable. As you're in your plank pose, you still want to keep everything stacked. You still want to keep those fingers nice and wide. Coming into your modified plank, slowly start to hinge forward, bending your elbows, and then come up. So we're going to actually take our block under our chest as a good indicator for how low that you need to go. A lot of people think when they're doing chaturangas, you need to lower all the way to the floor, and that is not the correct way to do it. You only want to go down as far as this block, and you're really going to see a difference. So coming into plank on the knees, hinge forward, lower, low, stop at the block, elbows to my side. See how they're nice and tucked in? And push up. A lot of people think it is like a push-up, but with push-ups, your elbows are splayed out. With chaturangas, your elbows are tucked into the ribs, pulling the shoulder blades together. So again, modified high plank on the knees, hinge forward, low plank to the block, stop. Push up. Push back. And do that again. So when you're ready, start to come back to that plank on your knees. Hinge forward, lower, low, stay here, elbows to your side. Push it up, drop it back. So another good indicator here, so you don't have a block, is the strap. So if you have a strap at home, you can use this instead of the block, or you can use both, whatever you prefer. Just making sure that you get that strap looped around. You're going to bring it to the triceps, so the middle of your triceps is where you're going to have your strap. So you want to make sure when you're tightening the strap, see this is too loose, you want to make sure that everything stays in one line. So we're going to tighten it up. So as you start to get that strap around you, you're really going to feel everything in one line. Shoulders, elbows, wrists. So here we go. Chaturanga on the knees. So as we start to hinge forward and lower down, the strap is going to stop you. So this is as far down as you can go. That's another indicator. Pressing up. So that's why you want to have the strap nice and tight, because it's going to stop you just as far as you need to go. So, not doing this. No. Just coming down as much as the strap allows, or the block. So if you are in the studio, don't be afraid to grab a strap or a block. So lowering, and it's going to stop you right here. So you can really see the difference. So also, I would suggest, if you have a strap or a block at home, just keep doing this until you can feel what it's like to get yourself here. It's a lot of work in your triceps. It's a lot of work in your core. So chaturangas are harder than you think. So basically, let me break down chaturanga here. Chaturanga, high plank, lower, low plank, up dog or cobra, downward facing dog. That's your chaturanga. So coming to knees. Hinge forward, lower, low. Lift the chest, open up. This is cobra. Up dog, the thighs are lifted. And then curl toes under, downward facing dog. So that's chaturanga on the knees. So come into down dog, pedal out the feet. Another little exercise here to help you strengthen up those arms and that core for your chaturanga is coming into down dog. Slowly start to hinge forward into high plank. When you come into high plank, not on your knees, you really want to make sure your heels are pressed back and your kneecaps are lifted. Again, everything is stacked in one line. Keep your belly button pulled into your spine. Hold it here. Take one more breath. Exhale, down dog. Hinge forward, come to toes, high plank. exhale, down dog. Do that a few times. Really feel the transition from high plank to down dog. Always knowing when you're in a class and we do chaturangas, you do have the option to skip. So you have the option to go just from high plank to down dog like we were doing. You have the option to do it on the knees. So here it is on the knees. High plank, hinge forward, lower low plank, elbows to the sides. Cobra, filling up all the way. Downward facing dog, let it out. Here it is, skipping chaturanga. So high plank, push back, downward facing dog. And then here is the full expression of chaturanga, not modifying. High plank, hinge forward, come to toes, lower low plank, elbows to your sides. Up dog, filling up on that inhale. Down dog, exhale, let it go. Chaturanga. That's just a quick snippet of what a chaturanga is. I hope this is helpful for you that are in my series, my workshop series, and those of you at home who probably didn't know what a chaturanga was. Now you do. Now you know ways to practice it. And if you come into the studio, don't be afraid to grab a block or a strap. That's why we have all these props here. But other than that, hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks.